Let me turn on the micro. Hello to the BTS community, to this new edition, a new Friday of the BTS Talks. Today we have an exceptional invitee. She is Isabel Salazar from ManoMano. Hello, Isabel, how are you?
Hello, hola. Very happy to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Isabel. I will introduce myself also. This is Jordi Arrufí. Beyond my, let's say, full-time job at Mobile World Capital, directing digital transformation initiatives, I am currently in charge of the Master in Digital Transformation Leadership and BTS, and I do also collaborate with the Executive Master in Digital Healthcare in the coordination of contents. And we are very happy to host today Isabel. Isabel, by the way, this talk is just a chat between friends, right? So it's a very, informal way to discover a bit more about Isabel. So I have at least three objectives today. First of all, to know better Isabel. Secondly, to know better ManoMano, so the company that she's representing today as the general manager for the Spanish market, if I'm not wrong. And third of all, especially to know about the future of e-commerce and what is the point of view of Isabel about this topic. So Isabel, let's start. I was checking your LinkedIn account, okay? Unless you're overselling, which I'm sure that it is not the case, you have an astonishing profile. So you've been working in companies such as Google Spain for 9 years, Motorola, also you've been country manager in Talent Garden, and now country manager in ManoMano. So tell us a bit more about Isabel Salazar, about maybe your professional career, but also, of course, if you have any other, curiosity about you that you want to share with our audience, we would appreciate also, of course.
Great. Well, so yeah, let's see whether we achieve all these goals that you have set for the conversation today. So, well, first of all, I'm Isabel, as you mentioned. I'm based in Madrid right now. So, about my career, I started mainly business and marketing. Marketing has always been my kind of passion. And I started my relevant professional career in Google back in 2005. I started as an account manager for Google AdWords. That was the name of the advertising program back then. I was surprised when I received the call from them and they said that they have this advertising program that I didn't know about. Like, I didn't know that Google had advertising at the time. And that's the little I knew about Google. And so they were creating their headquarters in Dublin. And I joined them in Dublin for 2 years. It was an amazing experience because the company was growing like crazy, as you can imagine. I think that we were only 200 when I joined, and there are now thousands of employees, many buildings. It was also very interesting to join Google in Dublin because Dublin was booming back then. Many international technology companies were establishing their headquarters there. So it was an amazing environment with many young people from many nationalities there. So it was great experience. After 2 years, I joined the Google marketing team in Madrid. Also, the company was growing a lot in Spain. Mainly, the main departments were sales focused, but they were creating also the marketing department. And so I spent 8 years at marketing, so 10 years in total in Google. And in marketing, I had all type of positions. I was head of B2B, B2C, leading brand as well. And I did many different projects. It was very exciting times. And this is when I started to run projects around digital transformation and how to help SMBs, especially in Spain, to be more digital. And we launched many programs I'm very proud of. One of them was Connect Your Business. It was a European program, then it was worldwide. And the idea is that we provided websites for free to small companies in Spain. We created 20,000 websites in 1 year, I think, and it was almost 10% of what it was in there in the market. So this is how I started to be more and more conscious and aware of how important it is to accompany the companies during the digital transformation and how important it is for our economy at the end of the day. And I was also involved in the creation of the Google Campus, which is a center for entrepreneurs. and I created, I kind of imported a program that was launched in Israel by Google Israel. It was called the Campus for Moms, and it was a campus where we help moms during their maternity leave to become entrepreneurs during this leave, and we mentor them, we give them some skills and programs and so on. And so this is how I started my link with the startups. And
by the way, Isabel, regarding Google, because they have a reputation of being tough in recruitment processes. So how difficult was to join, for instance, a company like Google back then in 2000? I think you said around 2005.
Yes,
right? How difficult was it?
Well, I guess that the recruiting process has changed a lot. I passed many interviews and I have to do a case and so on, but it was like many years ago. But also during the time I was at Google, I also interviewed many people, because all the employees really are involved in the hiring of new people. They say that great people know great people. So you are incentivized to refer people, but also to run interviews, and there is a structure also to run interviews and some different values that you have to check. I guess that it depends of the country, the department. Google is pretty big right now. But I think that there is always an opportunity for people to join, because they are always growing.
Good. So we were in Google, and then you were about to say that your next adventure.
My next adventure was I joined Motorola, because Motorola was bought by Google. And so I became the marketing and PR director for Spain.
Yeah, it was acquired by Google. It was acquired by Google, right? For the hardware part, I guess, right?
I think it was because of the patents that they have,
because of the
licenses and so on. And they bought it and they sold it to Lenovo within 1 year, I think. So so their companies did, right? Microsoft with Nokia and so on.
Exactly.
So it was like, they always say that if you are in software, you should also be in hardware in order to be complementary.
Yeah.
So I guess it was the reason why. So I joined Motorola, which was an amazing brand, really, with amazing market share, especially in South America. And it was a challenge because Motorola disappeared in Europe for a while, and then we were back again. So my task or my duty was to create the brand again from scratch, and also not only to create the brand in front of the B2C user, but also having our space with the carriers like the telecom companies.
And Isabel, I guess that, sorry to interrupt, it was a big challenge back then, because already in 2015, when you joined Motorola was not anymore a leading company in the market, right? It was in the era of pre-smartphones or pre-iPhone, but back then already, they had lost their leadership in the market. So how do you, let's say, reposition a market that was a leading company in the first, generation of mobile phones, but now maybe it was not in the top of mind of the consumer?
Yeah, it was a challenge because we also have so many Chinese competitors entering the market, so many brands. I remember that back then there were 35 different smartphone brands, and the smartphone became at some point a commodity, right? There was not a big difference anymore between the devices. Apart from Apple, I will say, but Spain has always been an Android country. We are 90% Android. It's one of the countries where in Europe when Android has the biggest share. And so amongst all the Android devices, there was a huge competition. And so it was a challenge, as you said. And what we try to do is to have a very clear value for money, that we were the best Android, the pure Android, the most pure Android for the best price. And I think that was a differentiator factor. And also we have a very clear strategy focus on selling online, because the Android lovers, the pure Android lovers that didn't want to have a layer in between their software on their smartphone, their first point of contact to purchase a mobile phone is online, right? So That was our main strategy. And also, when we were acquired by Lenovo, it was like putting some fuel behind it, because Lenovo is very powerful in PCs. It's a huge company. And so it was great to have their backup somehow as well. I think you're mute.
Yes, I was mute. And then just, to speed up a bit, Talent Garden and ManoMano, right?
Yes.
As
and
big
then
experiences?
Yes, then I decided to jump into the startup world, and I joined ManoMano because I thought that the challenge was great. It was like a great company with a values that really were interesting for me. They have like ingenuity as one of their values, being bold, and also care. And for me, these three values really stood up for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's very uncommon to see that one of the companies have care as one of the values, and when they say care, that means care towards customers, sellers, and also employees. And I was also surprised by the trajectory of the company, and I thought it was a nice challenge to join as a country manager for Spain. So maybe I can tell you a little bit more about ManoMano.
So I would say that the first objective, check. Okay, so let's move to the second objective, that it's know a bit more, of course, about ManoMano. That, as far as I'm concerned, actually I'm becoming a consumer of ManoMano already. But you are a leading e-commerce in the DIY segment, right? So do it yourself, bricolaje, it's called in Spanish, an e-commerce in this vertical that is growing very fastly. And actually you are considered as a unicorn, right, in terms of market capitalization or value. So yes, please tell us a bit more about what is your business model, how are you growing, in what countries you are established, and so on.
So to tell you a little bit more about ManoMano, as you mentioned, we are the European leaders online in DIY gardening and home improvement. And we were born with this idea in the mind. We have two co-founders, Philippe Resson and Christian, who had in mind the idea of revolutionizing the digital world for this vertical, because they saw an opportunity here. And so we were born in France in 2013. We are now present in 6 different countries, in France, Belgium, UK, Germany, Italy, and Spain. Spain was the second country to be open after France back in 2015. And well, as you mentioned before, our last round fund of investment was $355 million. So yeah, our valorization is more than 1,000 million. And yeah, so coming back to Spain, Spain is one of our priority countries. We have a hub or an office in Barcelona. Though now we have a remote policy that I can tell a little bit more later on. But yeah, in Spain, we don't only have our platform for B2C clients, we also have our app for B2C clients, and we also have our platform for what we call ManoMano Pro, which is our platform for professionals working in the construction industry mainly. And we also have a fulfillment center in Tarragona, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we are very proud of our achievements so far in the country. In 2020, we did more than 110 million euros business value. So it was a fantastical growth of plus 120% year on year. No doubt that the pandemic was a punch for us, really, because during lockdown we were all focused in renovating our home and do it digitally. So it was we were benefiting from this moment. And right now we have worldwide 4,000 sellers, more than 60 million products, and more than 50 million visitors. We're very proud of have been awarded as the best online e-commerce in 2022. And at the end of the day, to explain a little bit more what we are a marketplace where we try to have the best experience for the user in terms of the deeper catalog at the best prices for as I said before, gardening, home improvement, and DIY. And in order to do so, we don't only focus on having the best catalog, but also we try to give the best support to our sellers. We, as I said before, this vertical is a little digitalized, so it's very important to be kind of a digital partner for them and help them to have their catalog online and show them how they can improve their sellout at the end of the day. So that's what we try to do in a very human way, one-to-one, really. And also we try to provide the best experience to our final client. And we have, for instance, our support, which is our Mano advisors. That's like real people behind a chat.
So it's not a chatbot. They are not chatbots.
It's not a chatbot. No, it's a real people. They are real DIY experts that can give you advice while you are purchasing online. And I think that's another strong point of that differentiates us from the rest of competitors. And on top of that, thanks to Mano Fulfillment, that is our service for logistics, we provide 24 hours delivery for all the products that go through our logistics center. And yeah, I would say that at the end of the day, we are a big community of DIY lovers. And so I do believe that we are changing the market in a sector, in a vertical that is important at the end of the day for our economy in Spain, because as you know, a big part of our gross product, internal gross product, comes from construction as well. So we try to really revolutionize it.
Okay, Isabel, so now we have a pretty good overview about what is ManoMano. You remind me that we have a fourth objective today that I didn't mention, that is that I would like you to tell us and our audience and our community about also your objectives in terms of hirings and the kind of open positions that you have, okay? Because maybe part of our people who is connected right now is interested in maybe discovering a bit more about ManoMano, but we will keep this until the end so we can keep our audience engaged, okay? And also, and I forgot about that, we will encourage also the audience to launch questions, okay, to you, especially about anything they want to know. So I would like also to encourage you to just jump in with questions in the chat or in any other format, okay? Look, we have one guy saying greetings from Barcelona. Okay, Julio Marin. Bueno, so let's move to, I would say, the core of the topic for today, which is the future of e-commerce. You were mentioning that you are a vertical, actually, in the e-commerce market. I don't know if this parallelism that I will make it's the same, but I remember when I was a kid, we basically had like malls in the cities. We had like malls that they had, you know, all the products you could potentially need. So they had the several verticals in a single, well, a mall or a big store, right? It would be, for instance, in Spain, it's El Corte Inglés. Maybe in the United States, there are like Sears or this kind of big stores, right? And all of a sudden, started to appear verticals in the offline. Of course, I'm talking about the offline retailing, okay? Appeared new verticals, like for instance, in France appeared Fnac, focusing culture, books, also electronics, and so on. Decathlon in France also for sports, maybe some players in the market of home decoration and so on. So there was some sort of both live together, right? The mall, but apparently there were like verticals that were eating part of the market share of the first ones. In the e-commerce, I don't know how you envision the future, because I believe that Amazon is the clear market leader. And as you know, the name Amazon and their logo says, okay, we have all products from A to Z. So we have the entire overview of any vertical you can imagine. But then as ManoMano, they're appearing certain new players in the e-commerce market leading certain verticals. I don't know how, let's say, to what extent this is convenient for the consumer, because probably thinking on the experience, you might think, okay, to what extent you can fragment the market, right? For instance, if you are going to buy in a supermarket, you don't want to go to, let's say, e-commerce for buying the water, another e-commerce for buying the, I don't know, the pasta, and another e-commerce to buy the fruits, right? So to what extent you expect that the markets will specialize at fragment, whether if it's verticals, if they will live, you know, along, right? So the A to Z marketplaces, with the verticals, with the super specialized. How do you envision this future of e-commerce in terms of how the market will be, split?
Yeah, I do believe that there is going to be a co-living as there has been in the offline world. This is what I do believe is going to happen in the online world. You were mentioning before the people that want to buy groceries, they go to the supermarket, but indeed I know stores, offline stores specialized in pasta that are very popular. So I do believe that it all depends on the target, right? And the idea is to give the best experience to the user according to their profile at the end of the day. So I believe that DIY lovers would like to find a very extensive catalog in tools, for instance, at the best price with the best brands. And also they would like to maybe receive some advice because they are lovers, but they are not experts, right? So I'm completely confident that there is a space for specialized e-commerce retailers or marketplaces because we provide another different product and different services and different experience at the end of the day. I believe as well that in our vertical, inspiration is fundamental. And that's what we also try to do. We have like sub the room, so to say, samples just for those people who are not experts but want to renovate the bathroom. So we give them information, tips, advice, but also a mix of products that they could find on our marketplace to renovate their bathroom. So there are reasons why they are generalists and they are specialists. And as I said before, it all depends in the target, in the user, and the mix of product price and inspiration and advice that you provide.
So there is room for everyone, right?
I believe so, and especially for ManoMano for sure. And especially in this vertical, because as I said before, I think I forgot to mention that this vertical is digitalized only at 10%. This is like almost nothing if you compare it to fashion. Online fashion, the penetration of digital is above 50%, I'm sure. Groceries as well. So we are lagging behind. So there is a lot of potential to grow, especially in countries such as Spain.
But Isabel, it is true, I guess that of course there's room for everyone, but it's also true that then the competition is more harsh, right? Because new players appear, ones that are specialized, ones that are domaining the vertical, others that are, more like cross industry. And of course, then it means that the cost of acquisition of the customer, the famous CAC KPI, and you're expert in this kind of KPIs, right? Apparently in the e-commerce market is increasing. I don't know in your specific case, but generally speaking, CAC is increasing. So companies are investing a lot in acquiring customers. So I guess that then your main objectives is to create loyalty in order to take the most of it, right? To exploit this lifelong value of the customer. So how the e-commerce will evolve in that sense, in create loyalty and engagement with the customer?
Yeah, so I believe, first of all, addressing your point about competition, I do believe that competition is good because it makes you improve, of course. And it is also true, as you mentioned, that there is more and more competition in our vertical because, as I said before, the pandemic suddenly put the light in the home improvement, and we are all as consumers much more focused on improving our homes and doing it in a way that is more efficient in terms of energy because of all the context that we are living right now with gas dependency, electricity costs, and so on. So the focus, I do believe, is in the home. And this is why we have newcomers that are announcing that they are going to launch that are going to go from the offline to the online, or they are coming from other countries to Spain. But I think that, as I said before, there is room still to grow because the market is big and is little digitalized. And as you say before, yes, the acquisition of the customer is hard because there are like given channels of acquisition. There are not that many. And so, yes, the focus totally for us especially is in the loyalty of the customers and the retention. And we do invest in that. And for that, I do think that one of the key elements is the app, especially in a mobile-first country such as Spain, where the number of people buying online is 70%. It's about all those people online, 70% of them buy online. We are a mobile first country. I'm saying that because we see that in our data, people reaching our website or our app is much more than those going on desktop. And this percentage is above North European countries. So just for once, Spain is kind of number one in something. And so I do think that's very relevant. That's why we launched our app, our B2C app last year, because that's a way of really engaging our customer who has that on their at hand, very handy, and they can follow their delivery of their products, but they can also connect to our app just to look for inspiration, even though they might do the purchase later on, but they just want to interact with, to see to have some ideas on how they can redecorate and so on. That's for B2C. But also we launched another app for B2B, so for my professionals in the construction sector. And for those, you can imagine that that's a very, very different target. Those are people who are normally self-employed, or maybe they only have 2 or 3 people employed, very micro SMBs. They want to make the best out of their time, and their time is to find customers and do their job at the end of the day. So they don't want to spend time looking for material, really. And so I do think that thanks to our app, we can save them time, and our app is going to become one of their tools for their job at the end of the day, because it's going to be
so you will help them, Isabel, you will help them not only to buy at ManoMano, but also to manage maybe some of their needs in terms of procurement of material and so on. So it's a tool that will facilitate at the end of the day their daily life, right?
Yeah. Imagine that they don't have to take their van to go to the outskirts of the city to look for providers and find the material and the brands they are looking for. Yes, they can do it with one click anywhere. And I think that this is going to change the way the professionals in construction work. Not only professionals in construction, but think about people who have a small hotel and they want to renovate it, or they have a restaurant and they need to change the chairs and so on. I think that we are facilitating the way they renovate their business, not only for professionals in construction, but for any business that needs to have a venue at the end of the day.
Yeah, we have first questions from Maria Agustina Busquet, but before I launch this question, well, she's asking for best practices in e-commerce that you could share, or some tips that you could share. I would like also to ask a question related to this one, so let's see if you can answer both at the same time. My feeling, at least personally, I'm not expert at all in e-commerce, is that there are certain products which are easier to sell through in online channels. For instance, standardized products or services like an online flight ticket, or for instance, go to the supermarket for standardized products like, as I was mentioning, Coca-Cola can, and these kind of products that you already know what it is and you don't need advice in order to do it. There is no friction at all, and it's very easy, to buy online. But probably because of the culture of people who, was born in the offline world, there are certain products that they still prefer, to see it offline, or at least to get some advice before I buy it. And I guess that from your, infinite catalog, because you have millions of products, there you have two kind of products. The ones that, are very easy to buy without friction, because you know what you're buying and you don't need, to double check with an advisor. But there are others, maybe imagine that you have a terrace at home and you want to buy a table with some chairs. I'm speaking about the B2C. Of course, I want to see maybe what is the material. I want to touch it. I want to see the what kind of shape it has and so on. And maybe I want to see it offline. I don't know to what extent do you think also technology will help in order to remove friction in this process of people that still is reluctant to buy certain products in e-commerce?
Yeah, well, I do think that first of all, we have to think about the robo effect, the famous research online, purchase offline, or research offline, purchase online, the two ways. So this is going to be there and we can benefit from that. But as you mentioned before, yes, for some products, there is a need to shift our mentality. We try to provide the best pictures, the best product description. One of the things that we value the most as online buyers is the reviews from other clients. That's something that we take into account. So we try to put as much information as possible, really to increase the trust of the final user in buying online. Because it can be super convenient, right? Sometimes it can be very convenient to buy online products that are heavy, and we can bring them to your home and door to door. And that's another benefit that we offer, because we have we also serve the logistic part. So I do think that there is a behavior that is changing. We are in the middle of the process of changing this mindset of the consumer, who trust more and more the fact that even though maybe they have not seen the product, they have read the description, seen the picture, read the reviews from other users. They have received the advice from our Mano advisor online, and they take the decision. So I do think that it's possible to do so now. And also, in general, e-commerce and us also as ManoMano, we are investing in some other innovations in order to make this product as real as possible in front of the user. I was talking about Shop the Look before, where you can see kind of the product in the contest in the room, and you can have a better idea of how it's going to be there, how it's going to fit into the decoration of your room. And also, for instance, in the future, why not think about augmented reality? So you can play with your mobile phone and place the object within your room. Things like that. I think that they are very, very, it's not the future, it's almost the reality. So I do think that all these technologies are going to facilitate our life as buyers at the end of the day.
Okay, so we are linking to the, hot topic of technology and e-commerce. You were mentioning augmented reality. So a way to, let's say, mix the reality of, for instance, my room with digital objects that I could put on top and envision how, my room will look like after I purchase the product in ManoMano, for instance, right? And I think it's mandatory to open the topic of the metaverse also. This is a hot topic. Actually, at Mobile World Congress that took place at Barcelona just a few weeks ago, it was a hot topic. Almost all the booths there for tech companies, but also for corporates, also telco carriers, had some value proposition regarding the metaverse. There's a lot of hype. I think there's a lot of uncertainty of how this will end up, but apparently there's certain business opportunity there. So this is, we don't have the crystal, ball. So it's just, a guess. I ask you to do a guess about, for instance, to what extent do you believe that we will end up in the future buying ManoMano products in the metaverse, in an online store in the metaverse, for instance? This is the first question. And the second question is, do you think that we'll end up not only buying physical products, but also digital products? So we will refurbish our, digital and virtual home in the metaverse with ManoMano products?
Yeah, well, indeed, this metaverse idea is not new, because I remember I had my avatar in Second Life where I was interacting with brands, and I had my own flat. So this is not new at all, but maybe this time is going to be more like there's going to be a bigger mass adoption of it. For sure, I think that it would be great in terms, first of all, communication. For me, that would be a priority, maybe not to have this Zoom meeting like this, but also like kind of in the metaverse, so we can see each other kind of more physically and we can interact in a better way. That would be great. And for sure, it's going to be one of the advancements. And yes, I foresee totally the future in this augmented reality, Second Life, whatever you, metaverse, whatever you want to call it. I do think that also behind this, there are some companies' interests that are maybe is also part of the change of their image and reputation issues as well. But for sure, yeah, I think that definitely this is maybe this time is going to happen for real, and it's going to be a mass adoption, and not only for early adopters, a few people. Hopefully, we can integrate it everywhere.
Isabel, I don't know if you can tell us, but is ManoMano exploring some initiative in the metaverse?
Well, indeed, we are a tech company, and 80% of our employees are dedicated to tech. So that's the core of our business, technology and innovation. But the projects that we are working right now are very focused on the mobile, as I said before, because we launched our mobile app recently. Very focused on logistics, which is also a very interesting area for innovation. And there is a lot of investment in that. And I do think that, there are many hot topics around that about logistics, especially linked to sustainability. So I will say that our innovation projects right now are, as I said before, focused on mobile and sustainability. We are like testing all the time new packages, new sizes of the packagings to be as sustainable as possible, because this is one of our core values. This is where we want to be, because we are conscious of our impact on the environment. So I would say that those are more our priorities right now.
Okay, regarding this last mile delivery and also logistics within the warehouse and so on, for instance, we see certain initiatives of innovation about delivering with drones, with robots, that they are self-driven, and they are able to deliver certain products around the cities and so on. Do you imagine some sort of near future in which we will robotize or we will automate the delivery part?
Yeah, for sure. And also, but I do think that most important than that is also like to be super aware as customers of the impact of requesting items delivered door to door. So companies can create new ways of delivering at your terrace with your drone, or maybe delivering with a robot. But also we have to take into account that all this is going to have an impact in the environment. And maybe we should be more aware of that, and maybe instead of ordering things to deliver to your place, maybe order them to pick them up from a nearby store, or as they are also exploring, pick them up from a van placed on the street. So I do think that, yes, as companies, we are innovating in how the way we deliver it, but it would be great at the same time to try to educate the customer as well of the impact it has, and how we can find better ways of delivery that are also convenient, but maybe not so impactful. Or maybe also be aware that it's not needed to have a product within 10 hours or 2 hours in your door, that you can wait a little bit more.
So Isabel, let's head to the last part of our conversation about ManoMano job opportunities. And actually I like, because I asked you about the future of technology applied to, for instance, last mile delivery, and you say, okay, yes, Jordi, but let's talk about the impact, for instance, in our environment of this kind of hyper customization of when you want it, and what you want it when you want it, right? 24/7 available for you, and this creates an impact. So it resembles to me that ManoMano is a company that holds certain values, and probably this is one of the reasons why you are, appealing for the talent to join. Actually, I know that you have a certain initiative regarding social impact, so you are engaged and committed company with the ecosystem, but also with the citizens and so on. So it's not about salaries anymore. You know that millennials and new generations, they look for something else beyond salary. Maybe they look for a project, a career path within the company, and they want to work in companies that usually hold certain values, or values that link and matches with their own values. So before speaking about the specific jobs, if imagine that I'm now in a recruitment process and a hiring process for ManoMano, what would you tell me about ManoMano that would be, so sexy and appealing to me?
Well, what I can tell you is that indeed this week we are celebrating that we are already 1,000 employees, 1,000 manos and manos. That's how we call ourselves, and we are almost 200 in Spain. I can tell you that one of the things that is, I do believe, we are pioneers really, is in the work remote policy. We have what we call the work at home policy, and it allows you to decide totally freely, how many days per week you want to go to the office, from 0 to 5. So right now, all our employees have made this choice, and I can tell you that 2.5 days of working from home is the average. And only
Isabel,
50,
let me interrupt you. We
Yes.
have, for instance, now currently people that is following us, for instance, from Venezuela. This guy from Venezuela could potentially work for you in this modality of full remote, for instance.
I'm afraid that not right now because of we have to be legally compliant in terms of taxes and insurances and so on. So we can only hire wherever we have a legal entity
the local market,
at the end of the day.
Okay. So for instance, for the Spanish market, you could work for anyone who lives, in any place in Spain.
Yeah, in the Canary Islands or whatever you want to. Indeed, that's what is happening. You can work whatever you want within Spain, within France, within Germany. This is whatever we have a presence, you can work anywhere. And you, as I said before, you can decide how many days per week you go to the office if you want to go. We have a culture based on trust at the end of the day, and we only have some mandatory meetings that are kind of team buildings and corporate events, because we do think that it's also important to meet from time to time. That's for sure. And I think that everybody understands that. And so at the end of the day, I think that ManoMano, if you were in the recruiting process, I will tell you that it's a human adventure. We are more than 35 nationalities, and we invest in talent. More than around 60% of the people that work for ManoMano, they have done some kind of training. 20% have changed roles within the company. I think that we really help people to find opportunities within the company if they want to move. And right now we are recruiting a lot in tech. We are looking for product managers, for security specialists, data scientists, software engineers in Java, in React, also for business people. As I said before, we are in I don't know whether I said it before, but we are in a hyper growth. And I do think that beyond that, we also have nice perks, such as 30 days of holidays. I always say that because I think it's important to remark that. We also have a gym for free. I know, these kind of things that plus a fantastic work environment. And as you said before, we are also very conscious of adding value to the society where we are. And some of the examples is that we are collaborating right now with Barcelona Digital Talent in a mentorship program, because one of our focus is to empower women in tech. We know this is an issue. In Spain, there is I think it's less than 15% women working in tech, and we want to contribute to that as much as we can. So we have female engineers who are in ManoMano, who are mentoring students in order to develop their careers in tech. And so also we have an internal group of women working to give more empowerment to women working at ManoMano to reach their career goals, right? So yeah, that's one of the things we are trying to focus on.
Okay, so I would encourage our audience to apply jobs for ManoMano, because I believe that their value proposition is unbeatable, right? So you manage career path, but also social impact, certain values, and of course, a startup culture. Can you, Isabel, keep a startup culture when you're already 1,000 employees, by the way?
I do think so. We try to apply agile methodologies when we do apply agile methodologies in the way we work. It's complex because it's even more complex because we are working remotely. We are working from many places at the same time. It's true that we spend a lot of time in Zoom meetings, but yeah, I think that we have it's in our DNA, as I said before. Being bold and being ingenious is two of our pillars. So there is room for creativity to propose new ideas, and take the risk.
Okay, Isabel, I don't know if you want to say something else, share something else to our audience, because we are running out of time, but maybe you had some idea that you wanted to share, or some, message. You know that we have an audience that Some of them are already studied maybe at BTS or other schools, and they are, interested to the digital economy. They are maybe skilled in certain technologies. There are others that are currently studying. Maybe there are others that are thinking on studying a master course in digital technologies or in digital transformation and so on. So any advice, anything you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, well, one thing that I will recommend based on my experience, because I have worked in big companies, multinationals, and also startups. Maybe most of the time, whenever you want to initiate your career, you think about big corporations. I will give you the chance to startups because this is where you really have opportunity to learn and grow. And almost also maybe to think about creating your own startup and becoming an entrepreneur. I think it's a great moment for that. So that would be one of my first advice, like in general. And secondly, about ManoMano, as I said before, I think that we are a nice company to work in because of the vertical, because of the industry, and the hyper growth moment we are in. So if you are interested, drop me an email. I'm happy to talk to you. And yep, and that's it from me. I really enjoyed this conversation, really.
Thank you very much, Isabel. I don't know among our audience if you have an additional last-minute question. If not, let's close this conversation and say hello to the weekend.
Yes. Well, thanks all, and have a nice weekend.
Bye, Isabel. Thank you very much.
Actually, we have 2 questions in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can read them.
If you are referring to the Maria Agustina Busquet questions.
No, about the Jans.
Sorry. Okay, Jan. Sorry.
Robert.
Okay, Robert and Jan. Sorry, Isabel, because you were about to quick, but just 2 short questions. For instance, Robert is sharing a question. He says, do you work in any scaled agile framework, for example, SAFe?
To this question, we have created our own agile methodology that we have been testing since Q4, I believe. And we are iterating right now, so we are developing our own one.
Okay. And actually, the one from Jan is not really a question. It's just saying greetings from Germany. Okay. And he says that he will be in Barcelona. He will be in Barcelona, Jan, on April. So maybe you can just bump into ManoMano premises there in 22 at District, or maybe have a conversation with them, visit their offices, and maybe see if they can hire you, maybe. And actually, Agustina, I would love to, he's saying. And also, Agustina was asking, but we already answered some questions about the certain tips. So I think that we mostly covered all the questions. So now, yes, thank you very much, Isabel, for your time, your valuable time, and enjoy the weekend. And thank you all of you for your